Don't let college beat you. I know college has changed in the last 20 or 30 years, but there are still some tried and true techniques that can keep college from defeating you. And I'm going to talk about them right here. First of all, plan ahead. Look at the syllabus on day one and write down and make sure you understand the scope of what's happening. Write down all tests, all exams, all projects, all papers, all deadlines, and know what your term will look like. Do this on a printed calendar, whether it's a desktop calendar or a wall calendar. I would suggest, if possible, printing out every month of the term. So like August, September, October, November, December. And if you can put them on some kind of a cork board in your dorm or in your apartment, or I don't know, tape them to a wall, whatever you can do. But so that you can look and see, color code it for each class. So every exam, if you're going to make every exam red, every project green, every quiz blue, but just put a dot or put a circle or something so you can see, okay, you can start to identify when those crazy weeks are. Number 2, do little bits every single day. So the key to eating an elephant is taking one bite at a time, whatever. Those are fun little cliches, but really the reality to college is breaking it down into small bits, because there's going to be a lot. You're going to be overwhelmed. Reading a little bit and taking notes every day on each textbook or each book. When I was in college, I was in political science. When my husband was in college, he was in nursing. At one point, he was way back in his 20s. He started toward a psychology degree and then shifted it to nursing back in his 30s. And between there, he had cancer. So he had a few years that he took off between the two. So this has worked for both things. So a science focus as well as a social science focus. But doing little bits every single day. Number 3, understand what the grading scale actually means. So this is twofold. First of all, using a rubric. Whenever there is a rubric, use it as a checklist. Number 2 on that is people forget what a grading scale means. A C means average understanding, average level of work, average comprehension. An A means well above average or mastery. So if you want to get an A, it means that you have to have well above average or mastery level understanding of the content. Understand that in college. It's true that way in high school too, but there's been a standard set that everybody should get an A. And somehow a C is akin to failing, and a D is like unheard of, and parents are yelling at the teacher. What it actually means is a C is average. A B means you have above average understanding. So a C is average understanding. B is above average, and A is well above average. If you want or need to receive A's, which in college I did want and I did need, because I needed scholarships to pay for my schooling. And so I had to constantly get A's to be able to maintain the scholarships I had and get new ones to pay for increases. But understanding what that grading scale means will help you. And also going into the rubric, when you have them, and seeing how the teacher defines those things. And if you are unclear, or even if you think you know, but you're not getting the results you expect when you're getting papers back, go meet with your professor. And that leads into number 4 and 5, which number 4 is using that rubric. Number 5 is learning from the professor. So if you're using a rubric and you're not getting the grade that you want or need for that class, then go in and say, okay, when I look at the rubric, this is what I see. What am I missing? I am an extremely literal person. If you say to me something in a rubric, I need to clearly explain da-da-da-da-da. Well, if I feel like I'm clearly explaining it, but my rubric score is giving me a 3 out of 5 instead of a 5 out of 5, where 3 is adequate, I'm going to come to you and say, okay, how am I not clearly? I'm going to ask you to show me definitively what that means. Do not wait multiple times. And I would encourage you, if it's a really important class or somewhere where you don't feel overly confident or you've heard bad things about the professor, go in before the first assignment is turned in and take the rubric and say, okay, here is where I did this. Does that meet this level? Yes or no? Why or why not? And how do I remedy that? And they need to be able to find with their rubric, okay, this is what it looks like. A lot of times it will say things really, really clear, like uses at least 5 to 10 peer-reviewed journals as a reference, uses at least 10 to 15, uses at least 15 to 20. Well, if I want to have it in the 15 to 20 for my 5 on the peer-reviewed journals, you know what I usually do? I do 10 to 15% more than the top. So if it says 15 to 20, I would use between 22 and 25 peer-reviewed journals, because I want to make sure if any of them the professor doesn't consider to be peer-reviewed, even though I say it is, or if they feel like one of my references is maybe too old, then they throw that out. I still have more than enough to be within the bounds of that level. So to recap, college doesn't have to beat you. There are some very clear, tried and true, not easy, but clear things that you can do. You plan ahead, you get a scope of what you're doing. Do this on paper so you can see everything. Phones are not the be-all, end-all, neither is a computer. Sometimes having the paper and having your printed syllabus or looking at it on the computer and writing it down helps you to miss errors. That's why when I like to use stuff in healthcare because I find it very interesting. But my husband says when they're going to give blood, there are like multiple checks and balances, and this person asks this question and it's confirmed by this person, and this person answers this thing, and this is confirmed by 2 or 3 people. So if it's that important on blood, then it's that important, or at least close to that important, when you're doing your own planning and syllabus. I know it seems rather dramatic, doesn't it? But it makes my point. You need to not just rely on a computer to update everything and the calendar that's given to you in some online. Stop. Trust but verify. Use the online to write down, then double check, then maybe even have somebody else say, okay, is this everything that you saw? And then understand there's going to be some weeks where you just get piled on. So by preparing ahead, and I'll have this in another teaching, if you'd like to hear some about that, put it in the comments or contact me directly. But planning ahead, doing a little bit each day, understanding the grading scale, using the rubric effectively, and meeting with your professor. Really, that's key. I have a lot more in some of my other teachings, but that's kind of a thumbnail. I will see you on the next video. Bye.